After dental school, there's a process called getting into residency, and it could be a challenging process, and it can also be a hard process for some people doing it for the first time. Tell us, Doc, what has been or what was the hardest part for you about this process of applying to residency?
Quite frankly, the hardest part about applying to residency was finding the right one. Because I mean, you have to kind of find one that kind of fits what you kind of looking for per se. Because all residencies aren't built the same. They kind of, like you're looking to go into implants, you need to find one that's kind of catered to implants. You're looking for one that's kind of catered to like kids. You want to find one that kind of helps with kids. You're looking for one that kind of helps with medically compromised patients. Try to find one that does that. So really, the hardest part I would say is really like finding one that kind of fits you.
After dental school, there's life after being a dental student, right? And some people
Yeah.
choose to go into and do an advanced training in general dentistry or a specialty as well. Stay tuned as we talk to a D4 that's just graduated. Well, he's not a D4 anymore, but he just graduated, and he's going to be talking about life after dental school by doing a residency. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, surviving dental school, getting into residency, and life as a new dentist. Guys, be sure that you are continuing to share these episodes and this content with friends and colleagues. Make sure you're commenting down below. Make sure you're supporting the channel. All right. You can support the channel by subscribing, but also sharing the information and also joining in our membership. And also you can send some cash apps so that we are able to continue to use the resources that produce these episodes on a weekly basis. Also, this episode of Ask Dr. Darwin is being brought to you by GetIntoDentalResidency.com, right here down below. GetIntoDentalResidency.com, the ultimate resource to help you get your application together, get you prepared for the interview so that you get the ultimate goal that you're looking for, which is getting to residency to become a board certified specialist or an advanced trained dentist. For more details, go to the link down below, okay? Today we're going to talk to a new grad who's continuing his education and his advancements by doing a residency. Today we're joined with Dr. Julian Jones. How you doing, man?
Good, Doc. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. So before we get started, share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, so people that are meeting you for the first time can know who they're talking to, who they're hearing from today.
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Julian Jones. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Uh, got my undergrad from Arkansas State University there. I was a member of the football team. We won three conference championships. Got a chance to play in the NFL for a little bit. I played for the Atlanta Falcons back in 2014. Played in the CFL with the Montreal Alouettes in the year after that, 2015. Uh, Taught school the Memphis City area for a little bit, and I went to dental school at Meharry Medical College as a non-traditional student, and now I'm here. About to start my residency in Matthew Walker in Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, congratulations again, man. Class of 2024. Uh, that's a big accomplishment, man. Big accomplishment. And it sounds like you get ready to do some more here. Gonna continue this advanced dental education by doing a residency. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So why did you decide to do a residency at the dental school? Because we know it's not mandatory, right?
Right.
Our colleagues on the medical side, the residency is part of their quote unquote training, right?
Yeah.
And it's typically that's what they do as a continuation after med school. They continue their training via a residency. But for dentistry, it's not a mandatory thing, at least not yet. So why did you decide to do a residency?
Actually, I had quite a few factors to go into residency. For one, I had a family situation come up to where it kind of like was more in my favor to kind of like go to a residency because the residency I was going to was close to home just in case something happened. For two, the more I talk to employers that several did so, the more I found that like I can make myself more of a valuable candidate if I kind of got the rigor of seeing a quote unquote full caseload of patients a day and kind of make myself a little bit more valuable by like doing a residency, seeing different patients, and getting a little bit more experience with medically compromised patients. Um, because I don't think residency, like choosing a residency, is about not being ready. Because if anything, I would say I'm more than ready to go out and like kind of do any procedures. So I was kind of that type of student where like I kind of didn't shy away from anything. I kind of with anything, if anything, I would do extra. My professors would probably tell you I would kind of be one of those people who kind of go above and beyond till I felt comfortable with each procedure. And it was just a matter of looking at it from a business perspective. It's like, hey, if you're gonna go work for somebody, because the overall goal for me is to eventually start my own practice or like start a group practice. But I want to have some type of value before I actually go and you know, to work for somebody that way I kind of have a little bit more value that I bring to the table. As far as like joining a DSA and private practice or anything like that.
Gotcha. So as people are aware, it's a process to apply to residencies. Share with us a little bit about what were some of the steps that you implemented when you were preparing your application, right? When you started, and tell us a little bit about that process.
I actually started honestly as soon as the 4 year started. I got to kind of had an idea in my head to where I kind of knew what I wanted to kind of like do and what I was wanting to look for as far as in the residency. So I kind of just like did my research, called a few schools when I had a chance to go take a visit when I didn't have patients in my clinic. Um, and just went on the Adia Pass site and just kind of saw when everybody's due date was to kind of submit my application. And just really went from there. And then from the process of elimination, we saw okay, which residencies kind of fit what I was looking for, which kind of which residencies kind of required me to kind of have a little bit more experience or whatever they might have required. Might have been experience, might have been a letter of recommendation from somebody or anything like that, or just like some type of community service work, and just try to implement all of that to where it was recent and not just something like kind of did like throughout the. Well, I mean, I added what I did throughout dental school, but I made sure it was kind of like very recent, so it would kind of be a little bit more congruent with what they were looking for. And I just made sure I submitted mine. Like I had a few different due dates when all of them were required, but I kind of made sure I submitted when my first school was actually due. That way I can guarantee my application was in. And then I think the most important thing I did was kind of like do a follow up with each school, like sending them an email say, hey, I'm at the time I student Dr. Jones and interested in trying to attend your residency program here, and just kind of give them a little bit about myself. Like, this is what I'm looking to do. This is why I like the residency program. This is where I see that I could fit in. This is where I see I could be of some value to this residency program, and just just went from there. Just tried to establish a rapport with everybody.
Yeah, and that's key. You mentioned rapport and connecting with folks once you've submitted, but also that's part of the process that people will do, before they submit, so they have an idea as to what program and the reasons why they may be applying to that program. So that's helpful, and it's a great segue into the next question about schools and programs. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Darwin. Just want to take a quick break from this episode and hope that you are enjoying it. First thing I want to ask is, did you know that a large majority of the individuals like you who watch these episodes are not subscribed to the channel, to the YouTube channel? Nevertheless, We want to say thank you for watching and continuing to share these videos and episodes with others. Next, I want to say is subscribe. Yes, please hit the subscribe button so that you get these notifications each time these episodes are released. Last is I wanted to connect with those of you who are seeking to become an advanced dentist and specialist. And I invite you to our next event called the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge. This is a special 4-day event that will give you direct access to the mistakes that you want to avoid when you're applying to residency programs, and also the 8 steps that you also want to avoid so that you do not have an unsuccessful application submission. The information that we will be covering over those 4 days will be some of the tips and strategies that I teach in my one-on-one and group coaching trainings with clients who are continually and successfully being matched into and selected into high-profile residency programs here in North America. So if you're pursuing or aspiring to get into dental residency this application cycle, this challenge is for you. Check out the link below to receive more details and join the challenge. And also, I would encourage you to enroll in the challenge via the VIP experience. The VIP experience gives you actually access to a 1-hour Q&A session every day of the challenge before we actually get started with the challenge. And it guarantees me to answer your specific questions that you and other VIP experience members have on a daily basis. So I'll see you in the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge, and let's get back to this episode. You mentioned, going on a DIA pass and looking at different programs and making sure that what you were looking for is what the program had and it had what you wanted. So tell us a little bit about the process that you used also for looking at schools, the number of schools or programs that GPR, AEGD programs that you looked at, and why. Like, what was the why about those programs, or what was your why, and how did you looking for those programs allow you to come up with 5 or 6 or 25 or 26 programs?
Okay. First and foremost, first thing I looked at was to see how many seats they had available, because some residency programs might have 25, others might only have 5 seats. So I kind of based my decision off how many seats were available and like what kind of realistic chance that I had as far as getting there. And I was looking for residency programs that kind of had implants available, just from like different research I was doing about where the projection of dentistry may be going in the next 10 to 15 years, and just kind of just kind of try to implement some long-term thinking, like, okay, because people gonna always need fillings or crowns, but implants are more the way, because it's a lot more conservative as far as not cutting on teeth. Well, it's the implant versus the fixed partial denture or bridge conversation. So some people agree that fixed partial dentures or bridge are pretty much a go-to, or like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Other people feel like implants is the way to go because it's a lot less invasive with other teeth. Because if there's nothing wrong with a virgin tooth, why bother it? So you see, it's just kind of just doing my research and just seeing, okay, cool, we'll have an opportunity to kind of serve in areas that are like underserved. Do I have an opportunity to learn more about implants? Do I have an opportunity to kind of work with patients who are a little bit more medically compromised, or patients who have diabetes or high blood pressure, or maybe cancer patients, things of that nature. And then from there, I just kind of, all of us who are dental students are kind of, balling on a budget. So I kind of had to reduce my list. I initially started with 15 schools, and I narrowed it down to about 6 based on my budget. But I made sure those 6 had, mostly everything I was looking for. And just like I said, that I felt would make me a more valuable candidate when I do start applying for jobs, or going on to job sites to kind of see, do I fit in the situation as far as working after residency.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, everyone's criteria for programs that they end up putting and applying to it will depend on just that. It's going to depend on your own criteria, right? And
So,
you mentioned the number of positions, uh, implant training at the residency program, and any other advanced or cutting edge or next level treatments that the program may do. Was location a factor for you or not as much?
um, it was, but I wasn't like set on it had to be in a particular area. Like I will, obviously, I was set on it being in the South because I need to be close to home.
Right.
But I mean, I look at it like this: if a place may have everything I'm looking for, it's my residency program I've been looking for was only a year, and like to spend a year maybe in like New York or California or Seattle or something like that wasn't going to hurt me because of the experience I was gaining. You know, that to
Right.
me, that's the intangible part of it because that you can't put a number on that type of thing because the knowledge that you get from working in that residency program and gaining that experience is what was going to help me have a flourishing career as a dentist. So, look at it like since I'm a new grad, like pretty much everything fit into my 5 year plan. My 5 year plan was either find a residency program or find a job where I can learn these different skills and work with these type of patients, and also pick up the necessary like new age technology, like like I said, implant dentistry or 3D printing for crowns or dentures or anything like that. Something that's kind of a little bit more modernized to where you kind of can stay up to date with dentistry because what any field of medicine is, it's always evolving, it's always changing, and just having an opportunity to kind of like learn more about that. And I felt like the location really wasn't like it wasn't a deal breaker for me, what I'm saying? But
Okay.
it just so happened to where like I found one that was kind of still in Nashville. So I'm like, it kind of just worked itself out for me.
Yeah, that's good. And for those of you who are listening, watching, make sure you stay all the way through because he's going to share with us in a minute the program that he matched at, but also some specific details about that program that will help you when you're looking at different programs across the country or across the South, that'll help you get better understanding. And it may be some of the things in the program that you're looking for so you can add it to your list. So stay all the way through. He's going to tell that in a minute. Tell us now about the interviews because you applied to 6 programs,
Mhm.
and tell us about the interviews that you had, the interview day, what it was like, and any interesting questions that you may have received. Interesting as in, wow, that was a weird question, or oh, I didn't think about that would be a question. So tell us about that.
Um, well, all three of my interviews were pretty much virtual. I had a few classmates that actually got to fly in, but those were more of a specialist. But since I was applying to AEGDs and GPRs, all three of my interviews were pretty much virtual. So what happened was they, just set up a call on Zoom like we are now, and I would just certain type be presentable and just kind of get my spirit, introduce myself. And a lot of those questions weren't really about dentistry per se. They were more like, well, you kind of like, hey, what are you looking for? Why did you choose us? But most of those questions were about like what type of person I was, like what are my hobbies? Like, do I like hiking? Do I like cooking? Do I like golf? Things of that nature. And from there, once we kind of got out of the business per se, it was like a lot of scenarios. Like, okay, if you were in a forest and yeah, you were in a forest and you had to choose between eating fish out of a river and fish out of a lake, why would you choose? Why would you choose the fish? Why would you choose? Which fish would you choose? Then why would you choose that fish? Which to me had, was just in left field, but at the same time, you're like, okay, cool. You thinking like, okay, if I answer this a certain way, I wonder what it is that you're thinking. So my answer was actually um, choosing a fish that was in the river because I figured, hey, fish that's in moving water might be a little bit more fresh than a fish that's sitting in lake water. Simply because, like, I was my mind automatically went to salmon, and I'm a big salmon guy. I love salmon, and I'm like, salmon swim upstream, so if I catch a salmon, I'm pretty much in good luck. But like I said, most of those questions were kind of like they had nothing to do with dentistry. It was like, man, do you golf?
Yeah.
Do you like basketball? Who's your favorite team? Things of that nature. So I guess it was kind of like a filling out process to kind of see, like what type of person am I?
Yeah, and that's key for people to understand. The interview is a conversation that you guys are talking
Most definitely.
to get to know you as a candidate, about you personally as a candidate, not just as a dentist, but how you think. What are your hobbies? What are your things that you're interested in? Because they have to get to know you because you're going to be there 365 days. And if it's a 2-year GPR or AGD program, 720 and 30 days. So they really need to get to know you as an individual as well. Man, I would have told them on that fish question, I would have said, as long as it's alive, that I can catch it and put and cook it, that's what I'm going to eat because I'm hungry.
Right.
you know,
Right.
I just want to get to the food. Um, so you had your 3 interviews, and then there's a process that's called ranking and matching programs, right? Where you
Right.
have to put down, of these 3 programs that you had interviews at, which program you're going to make number 1, number 2, number 3. So you don't necessarily have to tell us which programs that you ranked, but how did you get to your number 1? How did you get to your number 2 and number 3? What was the process that you used to help you rank those programs, especially after the interviews? Because as we talk about all the time, before the interview, you can have, your rank list or your order of which one is your top choice. And then you can get to the interview, and that number 1 can go to number 3, and number 3 can go to number 2, and number 2 can go to number 1, just based on what
Just
happens
based
in
off
the
the interview
interview.
process.
So tell us if there was anything that happened to you that is similar, and just overall, based on the interview that you had, after the interview, what did you do to kind of solidify, all right, this program is number 1, number 2, number 3?
Um, it I kind of solidified it all of my like my ranking process based on, like you said, after the interview. It was solely off of um, did they really have what I was looking for? And if so, how did they make me feel as a candidate? Because I was in my interviews based on, know you read, because everybody sees your profile, everybody sees your application. Okay, and I asked, what about my application could I have made like better? Because I'm always looking to see, okay, how can you improve on something? Like, yeah, you might have done something good, or might have done something great, but it's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. It's 1,000 ways that you can get better. And based off the feedback and like, to see if they can give me something I could actually work on, and it was like legit, or they gave me something to where like, it kind of felt like, well, your interview number 537, and we're just gonna give you something like general. But for the most part, I would say all 3 of my interviews kind of made me feel like, basically a part of the family. But what sold me on the residency I chose was um, connections. Like the person who was interviewing me was a graduate from Meharry, and I felt like that interviewer was pretty much giving me the honest like truth. It was like there was a lot of transparency that, and I'm a person who transparency is a big factor for me because I think I feel like if you let me know what I'm walking into, I like the fact that you're honest with me, and the fact that you was honest with me and allowed me to say, hey, yeah, we give you this, this, and this. We might not have this what you're looking for, but I do know a few people to where you can kind of go and get this what you're looking for in your spare time, because you have a lot of time in residency where you're not just seeing patients, where you have time to do like enrichment classes and things like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. this is what stood out and why I made this residency my number one.
Yeah, that's key. You have to have a why with regards to each of these programs that you're applying to, and then see if that same why is enhanced after the interview or during the interview, or if it's decreased. And that's usually the place that you want to go, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure when you rank your positions, programs, when you rank the programs in your positions, you want to make sure that if number one is the number one and that's where you get to go, that you definitely want to be there. So very key. Well, now let's be there as far as be there with you with the program that you're going to be going to. So share with us where you ended up matching for residency. And we want to hear a little bit about some of the strengths and some of the things about this GPR program that you're going to be going to that excites you the most.
Okay. I actually chose an AEGD, and
Okay.
one thing
Okay.
I loved about it, well, like the strengths about it was like I have all the opportunity to work with like the updated equipment. Like when I was in Meharry, we the class afterwards got the experience like using a like like a scanner or like well, we had a CAD
3D.
CAM machine, things like that. Right, like a 3D
Okay.
scanner. And
Yep.
so my class was the class that missed the 3D printing for like dentures and things like that. But the AEGD I'm going to, they have it. They have, like I said, everything from like 3D printing, like dentures to crowns and things like that. Like, how you do a CAD CAM machine, but you have both options. You have an opportunity to do to also work with directly with the primary care physician for these patients because we're all in the same building. So I love the aspect of it because medically compromised patients is like something that I kind of like wanted to do because listen, growing up in Memphis and the shadowing I was doing, I saw a lot of those medically compromised patients. And in school, it's a certain a threshold that they will only allow us to work with because if the patient blood pressure was too high or if they were too far gone and I don't know, like maybe the diabetes wasn't like an optimal level, you couldn't really work on because it's a risk. And then you're students, you don't really have that expertise like a person who's been 5, 10, 15 years in the field doing. But the like I said, my AEG allows me the opportunity to kind of get better in that field. And like I said, we don't have like CE courses. We have a lot of enrichment opportunities. And we don't actually place implants there, but have a chance to work with the local VA in order to do that because of the connections that we have to the school. So it's like I said, it they might not have everything that I wanted in the building. Like I said, that was the only downfall was that they didn't have everything in the building. But the positive was that they allowed me the opportunity to do so. And I look at it like it's just like being in school. If you're one of those go-getters, if you're one of those people who like wants to invest in yourself by picking up these skills, the opportunity is there. You might not have the energy to do so all the time, but the opportunity to do so is there. So I love the fact that they granted me the opportunity, even though it wasn't directly in the building to where from my 8 to 5 every day, I wouldn't be able to see it. But once I got out of there, on the weekends, I had an opportunity to kind of like go and actually be with a doctor who does work at the AEGD. Say, hey, this is what I do on Friday, basically on Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday when I'm not at the building, and you're more than welcome because most I want to say on Fridays we get out like not early, but it's typically like by 12. So I have the rest of my afternoon to kind of not even shadow. I can work with him. I can actually help him place these implants. So that's I don't know you asked for like positive and negative, but that's essentially why I went with them because what I thought was a negative, they gave me the opportunity, and then they turned that negative into a positive. So it's literally everything I was looking for. So I hate
Yeah.
to say it like this, but it was kind of gift wrap for me.
Yeah. And again, everybody's why is going to be different. But once you pinpoint your why and you talk about it in your interview, and it's demonstrated that this program has this why for you, you jump all in, and now you're gonna have the opportunity to belly flop, cannonball, jump right on in. And I would tell you, jump in, look for extra opportunities, volunteer, maybe on the weekends if there's an opportunity to work on the weekends, because you don't know which experience or what part of the experience may be a game changer for you that propels you to the next level after residency, right? So
Right.
that's great. And again, for those of you that are listening, what's the name of the AEGD program you're going to?
It's Matthew Walker in Nashville, Tennessee.
Matthew Walker.
Mhm.
Is it a FQHC? The Federally
Actually,
Qualified Health Center?
yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. So shout out to the folks over at Matthew Walker, the AGD program, and selecting Dr. Jones, and Dr. Jones selecting the program too, right? Because that was the thing that that really gave you insight, the transparency, and everything that they had at the program that made you rank it very high on your list. So that's great, man. Congratulations. Nashville. So you staying in Nashville for at least another year, right?
Yes, sir. For another year.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, this is the part that people really, really get excited about, because it helps them really navigate the process, but it goes right to the heart of what to do. And that's tips and advice. So knowing what you know now and the process that you've gone through, from the hardest part of the program, of the process, which was, you stated, just figuring out which programs to apply to now being selected after ranking your programs, after having interviews, what are some tips and advice that you want to give and share to the D4s or D3s that are listening right now, that are getting ready to go through the same process that you went through this time last year? Give us some of those tips and advice.
I would say the first tip would be to reach out to the current residents, and you can find them on Instagram and anything like that. Ask for the phone numbers and have like an honest conversation with them, because there's no, you don't get a. I feel like the interviewers are gonna, sell the school to you, but the people who are actually working in this corner with you day in and day out, they can kind of give you the real, like, hey, I like it because of X, Y, and Z. I don't like it because of X, Y, and Z. This really helped me grow my skills as a from I was may have been weak in this area, but with this program, it helped me grow in this area. So I would definitely say speak to those attending that are actually there. And then two, I would say don't just have you some goals set out, like have an honest measurement about yourself when you graduate, and just kind of see, like I was saying earlier, like it's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Just like if you do something good or you do something great, it's 1,000 ways to do it better. And just have real measurable goals to kind of like give yourself an opportunity, because even if you feel like you need to work on your skills, don't just go to a residency because I just need another year. You need to have like something like tangible that you can see, because again, like you, for me, it was more of a long term like thing. It's like, okay, this going to this residency makes sense because it helps me out in the long run because of X, Y, and Z. Three, I would say make sure that you're a D3 and D4 year. Make sure you find a way to kind of like save your money, because those applications do get kind of expensive. But again, don't let the expense shy you away from applying, because um, there are a few programs where they might be identical, but because they are identical, you might want to apply to both of them, because once you actually, like I said, if you take the steps and talking to people who are actually in that program and you go on those interviews, you kind of can see what separates them. Because like they might look similar on paper, but when you actually see them or talk to people there, you see what the differences are. And then four, I would say take time to actually go visit these residency, so you can kind of see what it is that you're going to, and you kind of that way they can put a face to a name, just like when you're applying to dental school. You want to go to these schools and do like the impression there and whatever when you were pre-dent. Go to these schools and visit the residency program so they can put a face to a name, and that way you have a better chance of being able to afford these residencies.
Great tips, man. Great tips. I love all of them. Reach out to the current residents at programs that you're applying to, setting goals that are measurable, right? After dental school or while you're finishing up dental school, what is it what goals are you trying to accomplish both as far as professional development and even more specific to treatment modalities, right? 3, save money, right? It's a process, and it's more so not just a process, but it is an investment. It's a lifelong investment. That's why it's called lifelong learning. That's what we do in dentistry. You're going to be investing in yourself, whether it be you continue education, your skill set, the skill sets, and things that your team is going to be doing, right? So it's an investment. So save for that. And then visiting the program. We talk about that all the time on how to make sure that you keep your face in front of the programs and the people that are going to be going through this process on the other side of this process, so that they are familiar with you, right? Because it is a process, and it's a process about people, and they want to know who you are as a person. And that can start as early as visiting the programs as you are compiling and procuring your list of residency programs. So some great tips, man. What's the best way for people to contact you if they have questions or they just want to reach out to you?
You can contact me at Dr. J Jones 901 at gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. I know everybody's big on social media now. I have a Instagram page, Dr. Jones BDS, or He Who Achieves on Instagram. And I pretty much respond to all my DMs. The best way to contact me, though, would probably be to email me. But other than that, like I said, if you have any questions, anything like that, I'm an open book. I feel I'm not a gatekeeper. I feel like if anything, when you're in this profession, it's on you to make sure you bring more people into the fold, because it's already hard enough to become a dentist, or to become a doctor in general. So any way I can help, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. And just repeat that email address again.
It's Dr. J Jones 901 at gmail.com.
Awesome. So again,
so DrJJONES 901 at gmail.com.
Sounds good, Doc. Hey, we appreciate you, and congratulations. Congratulations for this next phase of your professional development and your career, and also, most importantly, your life, right?
Yes,
and very, very helpful. Some great tips, and thanks for sharing your journey into residency. Now, guys and gals, we want you to share something else, which is this video that you're getting ready to watch right now. Go to the next video. Go to the next video right now. Go.